So here we are in Maya, and I'm using version 2018.5. Before you get started, make sure that you create a project that is specific to Maya. Uh, File, project window, create a new project, give it a name, put it in a directory that you'll be able to refer to. I'll be saving out scenes in subfolders in my scenes folder that are, correspond to the modules. Make sure that you set the project. Also, I have a marking menu that I use, which is spacebar and left mouse button, and it's a lot of foundational commands that you would find in either, mostly in the edit and the modify. Actually, it's more the modify tab, but it's deleting history, freezing transformations, centering the pivot, grouping, ungrouping, the cleanup tool, which is under the mesh options, I believe, mirroring and combining. I also have hiding unselected. I tend to use the hotkeys for these. Creating marking menus is going to Windows, setting preferences, marking menu editor. Creating a new marking menu, putting it right in the center, and then dragging in with the middle mouse button the tools that you want to have. It's better to create a new shelf first and then to go ahead and add the tools to it. So, if I wanted to do this, I would create a new shelf, give it a name, and just call it tools, for the name of a class or something like that. It adds it on to the end. You can move this forward by going into the shelf editor and moving things around. But then you would go modify, freeze transformations, Control Shift and click, and it'll add it to that. You can go edit, delete by type history, Control Shift and click, and start to create these tools in here. Center pivot. So freeze transformations, deleting history, and center pivot are three that you're always going to use when you are working, getting the pivot straight, resetting the transformations to 1 in the scale and 0 in the rotations and translations, and deleting history when your construction history starts to build up. Grouping and ungrouping, I set those up like this first, and then I go under marking menu editor, create a new marking menu, and then I'll start dragging things in with the middle mouse button. And I'll just put them in whatever order I want. Give it a name, object commands, something like that. But then down in here, when you have something specified, like I have for my marking menu, I have one that's at the hotbox, center, and left with the left mouse button. So it's at center zone and the left mouse button. Close out of this. So anytime spacebar, I only get the middle, Maya icon of the hotbox, and then the left mouse button, I'll get my marking menu. This is a really fast way to get these object-based tools at your fingertips so you don't have to go reaching around for them or memorize a bunch of hotkeys if you're working in other applications. When I'm modeling anything else in here, I tend to use the shift and right mouse button tools, because if you select the vertex and shift and right click, you'll get vertex commands. If you select an edge and shift and right click, you'll get edge commands. If I select the face, shift and right click. It's better to work down this central axis of right over the object or right just off to the side of the object than it is to reach around the interface and look for these tools. I may do that at sometimes because there are tools that I don't have, easily accessible, or I might just be looking for something and I have forgotten the name of the tool. But as you are working on things in Maya, be it with low poly modeling, retopology of low poly, UV mapping, it's always good to have these things right around the object. It saves you time. It saves your wrist the agony of reaching, everywhere times 1,000, and it's a more efficient workflow. So with that, let's get started.